Hey everybody, this is Mrs. Hernandez and I am here to help you out with your test corrections because I know that a lot of us are really struggling and I really want to get those done. So for those of you who are just looking for the answers, look, here they are. I've already got them posted. But for those of you who are interested in actually going through the test and figuring out how to do it better so we can perform better on the retake, then I'm here to help you. So this test was taken from Mr. Bonnifield's class on 9-3. Looks like that, okay? So let's go ahead and move through these problems. Our first one is 9r minus 7 equals 13 plus 4r. Oh my gosh, letters on both sides. And my camera went blurry. What happened? Okay, there, that's much better. Okay, the most important thing to remember is we need to get the letters on one side and the numbers on the other. And here we have both on both sides. That's no good. So we gotta start moving stuff around. I like to start with letters, and I can actually do either one, but I like to use the smaller number. Both are correct, but that's just the way that I particularly like to do it. I think it's easier that way. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. So this is plus 4r. Now remember, the opposite of plus is minus. So we're gonna subtract 4r. Now remember, we've got to put this line down the middle. Line always goes where the equal sign is. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And please do yourself a favor, line these up nice and pretty like, okay? The R's go with the R's, like terms. Remember, that was a whole big deal. Okay, these two guys, they match, they zero out, and they go away. So what am I left with? Okay, over here, I just have that 13. Keys are in my way. All right, here's my 13. That's left over, and my equal sign. Gotta have my equal sign. Got my minus 7, and now I've got this guy. What's 9 minus 4? 5r. Okay? So now I have a much simpler problem. Probably looks a little bit more like what you're familiar with. Okay, let's do the next step. Now I still have numbers on both sides. I don't want to take this number because he's all by himself. I want to get the r by himself. I need to get that r out of here. So let's get rid of the 7. See, now the 5 and the r, they're super close to each other. They're going to be harder to break up. So let's get rid of that 7 first. Opposite of minus 7 is plus 7. Whatever I do to one side, on the other side, I have to do the exact same thing. Plus 7. All right, ready? These guys match. They cancel out. 13 plus 7. Guys, I'm not good at math. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to use my fingers. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Ha, 20. That sounds good. If these were much larger numbers, I would just use my calculator. I'm going to carry it in my pocket for the rest of my life, so I may as well use it. Okay, that equals, and then I still have this 5r hanging out over here on this side. That's all I've got left. All right, next step. I got to break up the 5 and the r. Okay, so I like to say 5 and the r, what's their relationship status? Remember, they're super close together. Plus sign isn't there, or minus, or division. The only thing that'll fit is a little tiny dot. A number and a letter next to each other always mean multiply. So we're gonna divide them right up. We are going to divide. Remember, this line looks like a fraction. It just means to divide. Divide by whatever that number is, 5. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. These guys cancel out. 5 divided by 5 is 1. What am I left with? R. Need my equal sign. Equals. And what is 20 divided by 5? Oh man, what can I say? I'm not good at my times tables. That's okay. Let's see. Always make sure when I'm putting it in my calculator, I have to go from top to bottom. 20 divided by 5 equals 4. And that's my final answer. And if I go back here and I look at my test, wouldn't you know, 4 is an answer choice. Must have done it right. Okay. Do you think I brought an eraser? I did not. Okay. Here we go. Let's try the next one. Next one, number 2, again, it wants me to solve for the value of x. This one's not multiple choice. All right, so we have 5x minus 3 equals 2x plus 9. All right, guys, exact same thing. We got letters on both sides, numbers on both sides. We got to get rid of them. All right, let's start with moving those letters. We got a 5 and a 2. If I move the 5, I'm going to get a negative number. Nobody wants that. So we're going to subtract. Wait, do I subtract? Let me think about this. There's no sign here. How do I know? Remember, when there's no sign, it's always a positive, because we just assume that things are positive numbers if we're not told any different. Opposite of a positive is a negative. Remember, negative and subtract, they mean the exact same thing. Oh, let me get my line here so I don't mess up. All the way down the middle. All right, whatever I do to one side, the other side I will do the exact same thing. Minus 2x. All right, these guys are the same. That means we cross them out. Oh, I'm getting black in my pen, you guys. Oh, well. All right, 5 minus 2. 3. 3x. All right. Now I'm back bringing down the rest of my problem. That's gone, so all I have is my 9. Notice how my plus sign disappeared? That's because I know it's a plus. All right, let's see, what color next? How about blue? All right, I still have numbers on both sides. Remember, these two they're hard to break up, so let's get rid of this 3. Opposite of minus 3 is plus 3. Yes, I'll check my email later. These guys are the same. What am I left with? 9 plus 3, shoot, 9, 10, 11, 12. Huh, 12. 12 equals, and then I have my good old 3x. Okay, sounds good. What do I have left? Oh, now I gotta break up this 3 and this x. Do you remember what 3 and a letter together? Remember, they're multiplied. Opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm gonna divide by 3, and these guys cross out. Whatever I do to one side, on the other side, I do the exact same thing. I'm gonna divide by 3. Okay? What do I have left? X equals, oh darn, should have paid more attention because I don't know my multiplication tables. Let's see, 12 divided by, that's what that line means, 3 equals 4. Hey, I got 4 again. How about that? And that's my final answer. Pretty nifty. All right, Let's move on to something completely different. Let's talk about function notation. All right, this looks tricky. It looks hard, but it's really not. It's kind of the same thing that we've been doing. So here, to look super complicated, this says the function of x equals 3 times x minus 2. You guys, that looks scary. It looks hard, okay? But literally, this is just telling you what the problem is. And then the next thing that Mr. Bonnifield does is he kind of tells you the answer. He says that the function of, and this time he's giving us a number, 4, okay, equals what? That's what he's giving us. So what he's trying to say is, if I took the 4 and put the 4 in where the x is, what would my problem equal? It's kind of like evaluating expressions, which you've already done before. So we're going to rewrite the problem, putting the 4 here. So it's 3 times, let me put my 4 in, 4 minus 2. This is what he's got us doing. Okay, there's a couple different ways how to do it. I gave you 2 ways here because I do too much. Okay, you guys don't have to do that though. Me, I'm just gonna do it the easy way. Easy way, I think, is parentheses first because PEMDAS. What's 4 minus 2? It's 2. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, times 3 equals the function of 4. Okay, remember this is the part that he gave us, and this is the part that I've done. I've done math here. Now, 3 times 2. Remember when a number is right next to parentheses, it means times. It's the only thing that can fit in this little tiny space. If there's not a sign there, it means times. 3 times 2, I remember that. 3 times 2 is 6. So, the function of 4 in this problem right here is 6. It's a big fancy way of saying if the input is 4, the output would be 6. Okay, then he decides to mix it up for us. And he was like, okay, well then, smarty pants, what do you think the function of -2 is? He gives us a whole nother number. So now we have to start all over again with this problem. So let's write it down again. 3 times, remember we're using this number now, -2 minus 2. Okay, so now just like before, we're going to do the parentheses first. -2 minus 2. And a whole bunch of you just thought, that's easy, it's 0. Okay, but look, it's negative numbers. It only takes 1 second to just try it on your calculator. Okay, so -2 minus 2. Look at that, it's -4. I am so glad that I checked it on my calculator so I didn't make a mistake. All right, -4. Now let's bring down the rest of my problem. 3 equals some function. It's -2 because Mr. Bonnifield told me so. Okay, so next, what was my next step? Remember, the next thing that I did was I took these guys and I multiplied them together. So now I'm going to do the same thing down here. What's 3 times -4? I know that a positive times a negative is a negative. Negative something. Here, let me check on my calculator. 3 times 4. 12. I knew that. I knew that. Negative 12. So that's my final answer. And if I want to be fancy, I can write down the problem here because Mr. Bonnifield really wants me to. There we go. So now we have 2 answers. Here's our first answer for what happens when I substitute in negative 2. And here's my, actually I guess this is my first answer, isn't it? My first answer, when I sub in 4, I get 6. And when I sub in negative 2, I get negative 12. Hey, I'm done with my function notations. That's pretty good. All right, so now I just have this last one here. And this is going to be it for objective 1, you guys. That's pretty good. Okay, this time I want to write it off to the side a little bit better. Let's try putting it all together. So I've got function of x equals x squared plus 3x. All right, you guys, I'm gonna cut this kind of in the middle because this is kind of what your test looks like. Okay, so on this side, I'm gonna put the first one, which is the function of, and the first number he gives us is 5. Equals. And then the second one is the function of negative 4. Equals. Okay, so these are our 2 problems. So what he's saying is put this number in for x first, then start all over and put this number in for x. Okay, we're not putting each one into an x. We're not doing that. We do one, then we do another one. These are 2 kind of separate problems. We're just using the same math with different numbers. Okay? All right, let's give this a shot. So our first one says, function of 5 equals x squared plus 3x. Look at me, I'm lazy. I just left all the numbers out because then I can go back and fill it in later. So I find that when I use colors, it kind of fits my brain better. There we go. Now I got it all filled in and it looks pretty for you. All right. Oh dear, what do I do first? Now remember, this is the problem, so I get to ignore this part. I'm just focusing on this. So I can do an exponent, or I can add, or I can multiply. Because remember, this is multiplication right there. Let's see. If I think back to PEMDAS, I'm going to have to write it down really quick. Let's see. PEMDAS. There's no parentheses. I mean, well, there are parentheses, but there's no like signs inside the parentheses, so I can't do parentheses. Exponents. Oh, there's an exponent. There's an exponent right there. Okay, I'm going to do this guy first. Now, I saw a lot of people make this mistake. They said 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. There, I did it. Except that's not how it goes. That's not how exponents work. Exponents say that it wants you to take 2 number 5s and multiply them. 5 times 5. So what's 5 times 5? You can ask your calculator if you want, or you can be like, I know it, it's 25. Okay? Then I'll bring down the rest of my problem. Plus 3 times, here's my 5. If I can write, please and thank you, equals, I forgot to put the 5 in. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Okay, next, am I going to add these 2 numbers or am I going to multiply? If I look back here at PEMDAS, multiplication comes before addition. So I have to multiply first. Okay, so 3 times 5. I know my 5s, you guys. 3 times 5, that's 15. So 15 plus 25. I can't grab the markers right, you guys. It's super embarrassing. Equals, where's my 5? That's in red. There we go. Okay, look, I'm all the way down to here. Very, very last step. 25 plus 15. 25 plus 15. Okay, I'm sorry. That's too big for me to do in my head. All right, let's see what we got. 25 plus 15. 25 plus 15, 40. All right, now we're talking. Look at that. I got an answer. 40. Function of 5 equals 40. Cool. All right. I got this. I lost my red. There we go. Function of 5 equals 40. Guys, look, I'm just not all with it today. Okay, let's try last one, and then we're going to be all done with objective 1 on this test. I think I'll make objective 0 be a whole different video because I'm tired and it's Friday. Okay, let's go ahead and rewrite this problem as soon as I figure out which side. Nope. Oh my God, you guys, that's so embarrassing. There we go. I figured out how markers work. How sad is that? Okay, so the function of that number equals that number squared plus 3 times that number. There we go. Okay, let me put in my -4. Oh man, negatives are scary, you guys. I don't know how I feel about this. Okay, now we already learned from our last time that when we do this, we have to do the exponent first. Okay, so let's do that. Now remember, that's a negative. So this is -4 times -4. Okay, -4, negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, and I know that 4 times 4 is 16. And if I don't know that, I could have checked it on my calculator and no one would know. Okay, so 16 plus 3 times that function. Okay, let's fill those guys all in. Okay. Dang, you guys, I forgot. What do I do first? Do I add or do I multiply? Let's see. Let's look back at my last problem. What did I do next? First, I did the exponent. Oh, and then look what I did. Next, I multiplied. So that must mean I need to multiply here. So I'm going to multiply these two numbers together. -3 times -4. Well, a positive times a negative is a negative. And 3 times 4, I remember doing that earlier, it is 12. Now I want to show you something here. Okay? Let me finish rewriting my problem here first. 16 equals, there we go. Now, something to point out. See how this is plus a -12? Plus a negative means exactly the same as minus, because minus and a negative are basically the same thing. So I could just leave it like that if I wanted to. And if that makes me crazy, I can leave it in. It doesn't really matter. It's totally up to you. Mathematicians would say leave it out. But again, if this makes you feel better, go ahead and leave it in. Okay. So now I have just my last one. What is 16 plus a -12? Okay, negatives are involved. I'm using my calculator. All right, 16 minus 12. Hey, it says it's 4. Wait a minute. What if I was wrong earlier about that plus and negative business? Let me try this out. 16 plus a -12. Huh, look at that, 4. Mrs. Hernandez was right. I should always listen to her. Oh, yes, you should. Thank you so much. Okay, so 4 equal, I'm sorry guys, I couldn't help it. That wasn't funny. Okay, function of a -4 equals a 4. So for objective number 1, there we go. We're all done. Okay, so real quick, I'll show you. There we go. Oh, I used the wrong colors. That's all right, I tried. All right. Pause for just a second in case you want to write anything down. And here's that last one. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. I will do a video for Objective 0, but this one is already way too long. So I hope this was helpful. All right, bye, guys.